Welcome everyone back to Poppy and Oz. Hope you're all doing really well. If you're new around here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Can't thank you enough for the support you've shown. And we're here today to look at Collingwood Football Club's list management. Always really intriguing for me. They're a team that have obviously been incredibly active in the trade with futures of late. So let's have a look at their list. Let's look at what maybe they'll do, what's possible, and what they hope to achieve in what's going to be quite a busy draft and trade period, I should suspect. So let's have a look at their list. But as you'll see, they've got picks 33, 48, and 51 to use, right? And they've already made 3 list decisions, with Josh Carmichael retiring, obviously due to concussion, Nathan Murphy, and we've also got Aiden Begg has already been delisted. So that gives them 35 players on their list, 6 rookie A's, which means it's full, 1 rookie B, which means they've got 1 to use, and they've got 42. So they've got 2 spots at the moment. So that makes it quite interesting. Of the players that are yet to have decisions, you got Nathan Kruger, Reeve McInnes, Jack Bytel, Joe Richards, Lockie Sullivan, Josh Eyre, Oleg Markov, Charlie Dean, Ned Long, and Will Parker. Linked away from the club, interesting, are Nathan Kruger, Josh Noble, and Joe Richards. They're linked to Essendon, Gold Coast, Port, respectively. We've got some picks that we can look at here for them, so we'll have a little bit of look at that. And then we look at the targets of what they've looked for. So I find this quite an interesting little avenue of attack, really, because they've got a lot that they can really facilitate, and that's going to be quite fascinating for me when you actually look at what they may be able to do. So, obviously, let's try and do the delistings first, right? And let's have a look at where someone may, what they may do. So, I'd imagine with Nathan Kruger, he's probably worth keeping, if you look at it, right? And I think that's really a real interesting one. Now, he's probably worth keeping, but I suspect that the aim here is for them to get back into the first round, and I think that's a real good call for them because they do want key position depth. So this makes sense that they try and trade players out. Now, is Nathan Kruger going to attract the type of value that they want? I'm not too sure. So we'll keep that as a maybe because you're obviously getting rid of a key position player who can play forward of the ground. Is there an option to train him somewhere else? Who knows? But that would probably be one of them where I think it's going to be traded if the value is there. Reeve McInnes is a real interesting one because he hasn't really kicked on, but again, he falls into that category of probably a need. So that's going to be fascinating for me of what they do because there's no real interest for him. There's no real for him a trade. Is he putting another year in? What are you replacing with? Because 33, 48 and 51 don't scream good pick replacements. Jack Bytel, I'd imagine he would stay, to be fair. He's a rookie A, he's costing nothing, he's the experience. Joe Richards, on the senior list, very interesting for me. He has been linked away. I think he goes to Port, to be honest. I think he might be used in a potential deal if there is a deal there, but I do think that he may be out of there, which I'm quite sad because I think he's a very talented footballer. Lockie Sullivan, he hasn't really kicked on, has he? So let's make some probably tough list calls, but I'd imagine someone here will get delisted. Oleg Markov, that's going to be a fascinating one. Is that something that you maybe delist and pick up as a rookie later? It's going to be very, very interesting what they do at this situation. Then you've got Charlie Dean, who has just been riddled with injuries, hasn't he? Riddled with injuries, and that's going to be a real interesting one. Will Parker will probably stay on. Ned Long will probably stay on. So you'd imagine here that it's going to be a real fascinating trade period. So let's have a look at players that we could potentially delist from the pies, right? And let's have a look at what we can do. So let's just say Nathan Kruger stays for the sake of this argument. Let's play that game. Let's play that game and keep him there, right? Let's say Reeve McInnes kind of stays, right? Let's say if they kind of stays, right? For now. Right, Jack Bytel will re-sign for a year. Let's say Joe Richards goes. So we'll go... Joe Richards goes. Right, let's have a look at a rookie 8. So Lockie Sullivan, I don't see the point of keeping both of these types of players here, to be honest. And when you look at it from a games perspective, it's a fascinating one because Bytel's played one game, hasn't he? And Josh, you did use him a little bit, didn't you? So let's delist Bytel, right? And with let's have a look. He played 0 games. So let's just say, okay, we'll keep Bytel. We'll delist Lockie Sullivan. So he played from memory, didn't he? The back end of... Played a couple of games last... He's probably worth another look, isn't he? He's 26, so is he worth another look? He's 180. Let's make some harsh... I think you've got to be harsh list calls. I'd say Oleg Markov, he stays. Markov, he's played 12 games. Charlie Dean's an interesting one because obviously injuries have been a part of Charlie Dean's career. But I do think there's some talent there. Like, you look at him playing in the VFL this year, he played a lot of games, but then it worries me that he never came into the team. So is it a state of get rid of him? It could be, couldn't it? Because you're going to have to bring players in if you get rid of him. We're going to have to keep one of these seniors. So that would probably be dependent on that one. Ned Long will keep, and because he's a good little solid player, and we'll keep him. So let's have a go. So with these players who are out this year, we've got Nathan Kruger still there. Reef McInnes we kept. Right. Jack Bytel we kept. Nathan Murphy we've got rid of. Joe Richards, he's going to Port, we're going to say in this scenario. Lockie Sullivan, he's gone. Josh, he's gone. Aiden Begg's gone. Okay, Charlie Dean. So far, so that would take our list spots to here. So we've still got some movability. We can potentially have 4 players on here and 1 rookie. We can go 3 players, but this has opened up 3. So let's just have a look at what we do here. So say if Joe Richards goes, that's going to be a really interesting one, right? I think the best you could hope for here is 37 and you give up 48, but Port are going to want to keep that. So it's probably going to be a 55. So let's bring 55 on here. Doesn't give us much movability. That might be a future. I could see that being a future 3rd. And it gives you some points for next year for your father sons that are coming through that we know about. That's the last available point, then 3rd positions as well that will allocate points. So that could be something like that. Then let's look at John Noble. John Noble could be a really interesting one because he's definitely going to go. Right? So that opens up another list spot for us. And let's just say we do get pick 12. I think that'll be pick 12 with a little bit of change, if I'm going to be honest. I think that will be with like a future coming back. Maybe even that deal there, which does help us out that way. So that now we've got some room to play with and we've got pick 12. Nathan Kruger, I don't think there's any value apart from a future, so I think he stays in this scenario, right? So then we look at this. We look at this and we go, okay, let's have a look. Josh Peatling, you're going to have to trade for. So I don't think he will be a trade. Jack Hayes could come in. I reckon Jack Hayes could be a good little option, especially if you lose Nathan Kruger. I think there's something else. Ben Hobbs looks set to stay. Tom Lynch, I just think is the wrong message. But Tim Membry is definitely one that would just cost. Would just be the costing. So if we bring him in here, right? And let's make sure this works. Yes, it does. So we'll bring him into here, right? And we'll contact him to 2025. You can see that makes that list there, 34. So Tim Membry we're going to sign. I think that's a good little acquisition. Rory Lobb's a trade. For me, I don't like that trade for Collingwood. But now you see we've got quite a healthy list here. And what we could do is we could re-rookie these players as well. It's got to be worth noting. So we've lost so far John Noble and we've lost Joe Richards. We've brought in Tim Membry. I think that's a great acquisition for Collingwood because I think what that does is really gives you that scope to to play with something, right? And then what I would be doing here is, because you want key position depth, I'd be looking at trying to turn that 12 into something else. So that's really interesting. I think Collingwood have got to hit the draft here. Really, in my opinion, I think just to make your selections a little bit sexier per se. So I would be looking here with pick 12. You've got that. I'd be looking at Richmond, right? Or a team like that. Richmond, can I help? Can I get into them 20s, right? Which could be really, really interesting for a little avenue. So we're looking at teams with picks in that 15 to 20 range. And one team that does strike me, who I think could be willing to trade, is Richmond. I think Richmond may look at 12 and go, we could have one, potentially pick 6 with some swaps, and 12. We're really into the good area. So let's say that you trade this, right, for Richmond's pick. So we'll say that Richmond hand over 21 and 29, right? 21 and 29. Right? If we do that in like a draft pick swap, right, and we have a look at how much that would actually cost us in the scheme of things, right? Draft, right, let's do it. Right, let's do it. So pick 12, if you traded pick 12 and you got 21 and 29, right? You're winning that trade. You're winning that trade, and it's only 300, it's 200 points difference, so they'd probably do that. Let's just say that you traded that, right? And then you brought these in, right? So let's do that now. So suddenly now we've got a bit of Arsenal here. We've got a bit of Arsenal. Now, you may be looking here and going, right, okay, why would Collingwood do this? But what Collingwood would do here is they would definitely now be in the purview of good players. Good players that suit their avenue, right? Suit what they're looking for. So let's have a look at what you could maybe bring in here. So if we look at here, you've got 21 and 29. Collingwood are definitely after key position type talent, which is always really interesting. So if you go into the 20s at this point, you could get the Whitlocks, right? But I could see, like, let's just say that was Jonty Fall, right? Let's say that was Jonty Fall, which I think would be a great little acquisition for them, right? And then let's just say at 29, you're really scraping the barrel, but you're looking for bigs. Let's just say that he is sliding at the minute. Let's just say that was Jack Whitlock, right? Let's say that was Jack Whitlock. Suddenly, you're in a really, really good purview. I mean, this could even be Farrell, right? And that would be logical, right? That would be logical. That could be Harriet Farrell. So let's just say you'd have Jonty Farrell and Mr. Thingy, right? So these would be 18, 18, and Tim Membry is what, 30 years old, right? Okay. So suddenly now, you'll see here, we've got a list here that is going pretty good. Now, with 33, we could get really, really excited, right, with this type of pick. And there is lots of options here available to Collingwood. This could be like something that's used to trade up the order. Like, I could see Brisbane, which could be a real interesting one when you look at this list, of maybe trying to trade out 15 for something else, but then also try and monopolise their bids. So you could look at Brisbane, right? They've got 15. Let's just say Brisbane traded 15 for something else a bit lower down the order. You could easily maybe go up the order with maybe a 30, but this could be interesting that if Collingwood looked at it. But 33, let's just say pick 33. Let's get a bit creative here. Let's say, because we've lost Joe Richards and Lockie Sullivan, we're looking for like a project. So real mental, but let's just say Tom Gross. He's another guy that is sliding down the old picks. So let's bring in Tom Gross. Right. And suddenly now, our list is complete. Right? Our list is complete. Let's say here, we re-rookie one of these guys. We re-rookie one of him. Right? And then we could re-rookie another guy. Let's just say, who else did we delist that we were in decision? Let's say we keep him. Right? Suddenly now, you look, that list is quite solid. You brought Tim Membry, John Defoe, Harry Farrell, and Tom Gross in. And all you've lost in reality is John Noble and a few players here that are bit part players. So Collingwood have got a really interesting one of what they can do. If they get 12 in, I think the good method there would be try and get an unrestricted free agent and try and trade down there into it, which I think Richmond would be a real attractive prospect for them. There's a few clubs there. Gold Coast, you may even do that, which could be interesting. I mean, obviously Gold Coast want to trade down, but they don't want to trade down too much because they've got the Lombardo thing, so 12 is kind of that thing. So that could be a really interesting little avenue of what Collingwood do. Is that like, do they go crazy and get really creative with that pick 12 should they ascertain it? I could see it being 12 for 33. It gives Gold Coast some points, 26, 33, 35, to match that bid, which means then 20 would come available. So I really do feel like Collingwood here can get a bit creative. So let me know what you think, guys and girls. Obviously here with respect. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. It's really, really important to the channel. But peace, love and light. Have a good day. Pom out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella